Singer David, whose legal name is David Anthony Burke, has been charged with the first-degree murder of 14-year-old Celeste Hernandez. His lawyers say he's innocent. The LA District Attorney described the case as every parent's nightmare. He also gave more details about the case. Nathan Hockman says that the charges against the 21-year-old singer involved numerous sexual acts with a minor and the mutilation of a body. He also added that the special circumstances of the first-degree murder charge involved financial gain. The district attorney essentially accuses the TikTok star of murdering the 14-year-old to maintain his lucrative musical career that she allegedly threatened.
These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty.
Many have been asking, why did an arrest take so long? The runaway teenager was last seen alive in April 2025. The authorities tell us she went to David's house in the Hollywood Hills and was never heard from again. Months later, in September 2025, her body was found in 2 bags, mutilated, badly decomposed, in a Hollywood tow yard when someone had reported a terrible smell. At the time, David was on a national tour. Then everything stopped. The tour was canceled and he stepped away from the spotlight. After months of secrecy, speculation, and conspiracy theories, he was arrested last week, and today he was charged.
Do y'all think that this was true? Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that he actually did it, because this is all allegations. Put a 2 in the chat.
Como começar na área de marketing digital?
If you believe that put a 2 in the chat if you believe that he didn't commit these things. Leave y'all thoughts down below. Let me know. Another episode of the Gossip Galore news, because this one was crazy. And this rapper go by the name of or he may be a pop artist or something, D4vd. He actually made a song about these things. So I don't know if he's trolling the situation. He couldn't contain himself and handle the situation. Maybe he's seen the spirit realm and the ghosts start happening and everything else. So you just never know with this type of situation. And this is sad. This was a minor that this happened to. At the end of the day, this was a minor that this happened to. Maybe he was talking to a minor he didn't want the world to know. That's an allegation. We don't know. They saying that the video he did with the new girl looked just like the girl that he was just talking about. So there's a lot of different little things with this one. There's a lot of little different things. Let's see what TikTok got to say about it. Let's see what TikTok got to say about this one, because yikes.
As the musician David, dressed in a black sweatshirt, stood behind a glass partition as his attorney entered his plea of not guilty.
We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Hernandez.
The 21-year-old is charged with first-degree murder with special circumstances in the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas, including committing the crime for financial gain, lying in wait, and murdering a witness in an investigation. If convicted, he could face the death penalty.
The financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening.
Prosecutors allege Celeste Rivas was a runaway, just 13, when she met with David and was allegedly sexually abused by him. They say David invited Celeste to his home on April 23rd of last year. She was never seen again. Her decomposed remains were discovered less than 5 months later, dismembered inside Burke's impounded Tesla.
Do you believe that David was trying to lure Celeste in order to murder her?
He invited her ultimately with the idea that he was going to murder her.
You're saying that he knew he was going to murder her on that day and that you have evidence to...
So basically what that proves is that it was premeditated. And she was 13. But she was, a runaway at 13. She probably met someone. He was a celebrity. Let's just say hypothetically they had some form of interaction. Maybe she got prego. Maybe she didn't. You know what I'm saying? But something to me with this case just isn't right at all. Something to me with this case, it just sounds too funny. It's just too funny. Something ain't right with this one. Leave your thoughts down below.
Prove that.
Yes.
In a statement, David's family said they are terribly disappointed by the charges and stand by him 100%. We spoke to high-profile criminal defense attorney Mark Garagos, who is not representing the defendant.
Is there any smoking gun? Is there any direct evidence that the DA seems to have right now?
No, this appears to me to be the quintessential circumstantial evidence murder case. If the DA thought they had a slam dunk case, they would have indicted her early on.
Now, David's team should begin to see the evidence the DA has against her client within.
So if this is all speculation and they accuse the man of doing all these things, he gonna sue the hell out of these news channels and people. That's defamation of character. But how did she end up in the trunk? That would be the thing. How did she end up there? In your car at that? Or did someone stage it for it to happen like that? It's so many different things. My crime solving abilities alert just became active. We're gonna figure this one out. I'm gonna keep y'all updated on this one. We're gonna figure this one out. Let's see what else they saying.
48 hours or so. That has been kept a close secret so far. While Rivas's cause of death has not been revealed, the district attorney says the coroner's report will be soon released, though the criminal complaint does mention a, quote, sharp weapon was used. David is slated to be back in court on Thursday for a preliminary hearing.
Inside a Los Angeles court.
I got nothing to say.
I'm not a lawyer, but SF Investigators, he's a private investigator, just posted the David Burke felony complaint. So let's go through it. And I'm telling you now, I have questions. So let's go through this together.
I got
and then
too many
comment with your thoughts. Okay. First thing to call out is it says on or about April 24th, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of murder was committed by David Anthony Burke. So that off top tells us that law enforcement believes Celeste was killed on or about April of 2025. And remember, Celeste's body was not found until September 8th of 2025. So almost 5 months after police believe she was killed. And if you recall from the press conference, the DA said that Celeste went to David's house after he invited her over on April 23rd, 2025.
On April 23rd, 2025, as been alleged by the complaint, Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills. She was never heard from again. On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Miss Celeste remains, her dismembered and decomposed remains were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to Mr. Burke.
So based on all of that, it sounds like the DA believes that David invited Celeste over. Within 24 hours, she was dead. Okay, now back to the complaint. Next, it says that David killed Celeste for financial gain, which we already know. The prosecutor said the financial gain was his career.
As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening on that particular night.
And interestingly enough, the pre-sale for David's world tour started on April 23rd, with the public sale starting on April 24th, which again is the very day that prosecutors believe David killed Celeste. And then next, the doc says, quote, Celeste was a witness to a crime and was intentionally killed because of that fact. And again, back to the press conference, the DA basically said that Celeste was a witness and a victim to the same crime. And that crime was that David was abusing her sexually.
The witness to the investigation was Celeste. And the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts committed by Mr. Burke. It is the subject of count 2 of this complaint with Celeste while she was under 14 years old.
And then next up, the document says that David killed her by means of lying in wait. And then it says that he, quote, personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, to wit, a sharp instrument, which makes sense because they believe he also dismembered her. Okay, now on to count 2, which is the charge for abuse. And what's interesting here is that it says on or between September 7th, 2023 and September 4th, 2024, the crime of continuous abuse was committed by David to Celeste, a child under the age of 14, while the defendant resided with and had reoccurring access to the child. So based on this, it sounds like prosecutors believe that at some point during September of 23 and September of 24, Celeste was staying with David, and during that time period, he was abusing her. But what's also interesting about this count is that they ended at September of 2024, but they believe she was killed in April of 2025. So do they believe the interactions between the two of them stopped after September of 24? And if that's the case, I'm so curious what they believe led up to him inviting her over his house in April of 2025. Okay, and then on to count 3, it says that the mutilation happened in the county of Los Angeles. So that's the complaint. And David did have his arraignment today. And during that arraignment, his attorney said that they want the preliminary hearing to happen quickly.
We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date.
So David will be back in court on Thursday, April 24th for his preliminary hearing. And as a quick refresher, the point of a preliminary hearing is for the prosecutors to lay out some of their case in front of a judge, and a judge determines if there's enough probable cause for this case.
I'm gonna make sure that I give y'all an update on the 24th at his preliminary hearing, because this is gonna be the hot story and the hot take about what's actually going on. Let's go.
To proceed to trial or not. And that means we can expect to get more information about what prosecutors believe happened in this case. I imagine the hearing is going to be packed with people, but I do plan to attend, so we will see how that goes. Rest in peace to Celeste Rivas.
Can you clarify something? Again, it came out today, but I just want to make sure I'm accurate. Your theory of the case is that Burke allegedly lured Celeste out to this property, that she was going to report, was she going to report him to the police about their relationship, and that is why he killed her? And if I'm correct, how do you intend to prove that?
So the actual details of the evidence will be presented at the preliminary hearing and later at a trial. What we charge, though, and what the complaint charges is first-degree murder with 3 different special circumstances. The first one is lying in wait. And the allegation, as alleged in the complaint, is that Burke invited Celeste to his house the night of April 23rd, 2025, at which point he was lying in wait to murder her. The second special circumstance that was charged, and by the way, the reason you end up charging special circumstances in California is that if you have first-degree murder and you get convicted of it, it's 25 years to life.
Right.
But that allows the life sentence to be with the possibility of parole. If any one of the 3 special circumstances is found beyond a reasonable doubt by the jury, that then creates a life without the possibility of parole sentence, or if we so choose to seek it, the death penalty.
You mentioned cooperating and non-cooperating witnesses. I will tell you, people will look at this and say, okay, if the allegations are true, how on earth could David, this singer, kill this girl, dismember her body, leave it in a Tesla all by himself? There are those who say there's no way that he could have done this by himself, yet he's the only one charged. Are we dealing with a circumstance where there might be others involved, but they're cooperating, and if they choose not to cooperate anymore, they may be charged? Because I was listening to the press conference today. I was wondering if there's a little bit of opening that other people might be involved here.
Well, we have an ongoing investigation in the sense that if any individuals have information about Mr. Burke or anything dealing with this particular crime, please at any time reach out to the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division or the DA's office and bring us that information. With respect to any potential other individuals, as I said during the press conference, if and when we charge anybody else, and I'm not saying we will, you'll be the first to know.
Can you clarify something? Again, it came out today, but I just want to
Now, I'm still going to lead toward allegation or allegedly because we don't know until we actually know. It's a lot of evidence pointing against them, but we don't know until we actually know. So, I got to disagree with Sean on this one because until they have that hearing, until the court say what they say, we all are speculating. Why? Because we wasn't there that day. He could have been framed. He couldn't have. He could have did it himself. There's so many different possibilities with this one. But let's continue. Wow. Wow.